Jeb Bush is out of the Republican race. He was thoroughly embarrassed in South Carolina, so he decided to finally stop the pain. So Think Progress reports that his campaign and Super PAC, which is called Right to Rise, spent at least $150 million on the race. That's unbelievable. And they have dick to show for it. They have nothing to show for it. So what did that earn him? They say, quote, that earned him 2.8% of the vote in Iowa, 11% of the vote in New Hampshire, and at the time he announced his withdrawal from the race, about 8% of the vote in South Carolina. Guys, he got trounced. Absolutely trounced. So why did he lose? Well, I mean, the answer really is everything you can think of. I mean, his policy positions were a joke, which is why I find it hilarious. There's pieces out today, like Slate has a piece. Jeb Bush is not a joke. And it's a fluff piece of, he's more human than the other people. What does that even fucking mean? He doubled down on the Iraq war, which was a disaster and a war crime and illegal, killed 200,000 Iraqi civilians, cost us $7 trillion by the year 2053 when you add in the interest because we borrowed the money for the war. And they're like, oh, he's so human. No, he is a joke. He is a joke, and he's a bad candidate, and his policy positions were a disaster. For the Iraq War, doubled down on George W. Bush-style economics, which gave us the subprime mortgage crisis and the Great Recession, with help from Clinton's deregulation with the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act, which repealed Glass-Steagall. And he's just not charismatic. I mean, call it what it is. The dude has a horrific personality. I mean, it's awkward. Even when he's on, it's awkward watching him. I made this joke the other day about Chuck Todd, because I think he's kind of in the same boat here. But, you know, I think I'd rather watch paint dry than listen to a Jeb Bush speech. Because at least with the paint, nothing's happening. With Jeb, you cringe at the awkward parts. Oh my God, why are you saying that? Oh, stop embarrassing yourself. So, and also, let's face it, he's just entitled. I mean, he had the mindset, kind of similar to Hillary, by the way, where he thinks like, come on. I mean, I'm the person who's from the legacy family, the Bush family. He thought that was going to be a plus for him going into this election. Now, it was actually a handicap because people were like, oh my God, stop, no more Bushes. Go away. Shoo. But he had this sense of entitlement. Daddy was president, my brother was president. Isn't it my turn? I want a country. Fuck off, you and your silver spoon. And again, I know I keep bringing this up, but I feel compelled to. I can't stand the fluff pieces today that are trying to like rehabilitate him and make him seem like, no, he was actually a good guy. No, he was loathsome. And if you actually write down and you compare the policy positions between him and Trump, on some, Trump is way worse. On the, hey, ban all Muslims from entering the U.S., hey, Mexicans are rapists. I assume some are good people. So don't get me wrong, in many areas, Trump is worse. But on economic issues, and even on war, well, actually on war, Trump did say, hey, let's attack civilians. Which is unbelievably grotesque. So Jeb has him there. No, hey, let's attack civilians. But in every other area, I mean, Jeb's like, let's get involved in Syria and fight both sides. Trump says no. Again, on economics, Trump talks about, hey, we need to force corporations to stay here and not let them ship the jobs overseas. Jeb is like, go ahead, go overseas. I don't give a fuck. I'm part of the elite. You think I care about these blue-collar workers? Infrastructure spending? Jeb is like, yeah, none of that. Trump's like, let's spend trillions on it. So when you compare issue for issue, Trump is probably better than Jeb, and Jeb is just a poster child of corruption. How do you raise $150 million and just shit the bed? Totally shit the bed. And also, let me mention that there's a reason why. See, money in politics is probably the only issue that really matters because it affects all other political issues. So until you fix that, you can't fix anything else. But some people might be skeptical, and they might fire back and say, Kyle, see, money in politics isn't that big of a deal because Jeb Bush spent $150 million and he got bupkis for it. But you have to understand that presidential races are a little different than Senate races and races in the House of Representatives. When you actually go to the data, you find out that when it's a House race or a Senate race, over 90% of the time, some election cycles is 93%, some it's 95%. The person who raises the most money ends up winning. So money is everything in those kinds of races. In the presidential race, it's more complicated because your name is out there enough anyway because, it's a fucking national race, so the media is going to cover it. Your name is out there enough anyway that the money is not the end-all be-all. But it still has the same effect in that whoever ends up winning, they will repay the legal bribes to the people who gave it to them. So if Corporation X, Y, or Z helped you out, when you're in office, you're going to take that phone call and you're going to give them special subsidies and corporate welfare checks and all this stuff. But it's not a guarantee. It's not a one-to-one relationship on the presidential side. It's not a one-to-one relationship. Hey, I raised the most money. Okay, now I'm just going to get elected. Jeb Bush is the perfect example of that. He had all the big money donors backing him, and he got nothing to show for it. So, having said all that and trying to break down for you how big of a joke Jeb Bush really is, let's go ahead and take a look at some of his most awkward moments.
He's almost too polite. I don't advise him, but if I gave him advice, I would say, why don't you interrupt like the other people do?
Really?
Yes, I would say that.
I've gotten better at interrupting, Mom. Come on.
You mean interrupt during the debate?
Yes. He's so polite. We brought him up that way.
I won't be out there blowharding, talking a big game without backing it up. I think the next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country to get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap. I can promise you the best way to show respect outside of rebuilding our military to men and women in uniform is to fix that mess as fast as I can. That's it. Thank you. They're kicking me out the door. They're kicking me out the door.
Governor, thank you very much for joining us today. I believe your schedule has a hard stop. There are more.
Are people underestimating your ability to fight back and your willingness to fight back?
I hope they are. I hope they are. I want you to be the first guy to write the comeback narrative.
Yeah, that's my hope. But just talk about your resilience, because some people don't think you know how to fight.
Man, they don't know me. They don't know me.
Could you sign this to Luke?
I eat nails when I wake up, and then I have breakfast.
The only thing that comes to mind when I watch that is what Trump said. Yeah, you're a tough guy, Jeb. Yeah, I'm sure you're tough. Tough guy over here, Jeb. That's what you are. I'm sure you're real tough. Dude, why did you do this to yourself? Why did you do this? He's not a natural-born campaigner. And contrary to what some of the fluff pieces are saying today, he was horrible at governing, too. Jeb Bush, his whole campaign was based on a lie. The lie being, I made Florida great, I was a fantastic governor. Nonsense! Jeb Bush was governor in Florida the entire time the bubble was inflating, the housing bubble. So he's like, more jobs were created, more housing was built, the income was going up, more people were employed. The second he left office, pop, the bubble burst. And Florida was left worse off than most other states in the United States. I mean, with the exception of maybe Nevada and Florida, that was the heart of the subprime mortgage crisis in the Great Recession. They overbuilt. It was all because of deregulation. And it was the same economic policy that his brother had, George W. Bush in Washington. So he rides the bubble to the top, gets out, and then it bursts because of his policies and his brother's policies. And he's like, wasn't I great when I was in office? It worked out. No, you weren't great. You were horrific. You were horrific. It was all fake money. It was a bubble, you idiot. But he brags about it. No, what a joke you are. And you could just see, man, look at this shit. Oh, shucks, mama. You say I should be more aggressive. Oh, should I be more aggressive? I hope this cutesy act is going to make people vote for me. Why the fuck? Dude, you're a grown-ass man. You look like a Yeti. Or are people going to fall for the, oh, shucks, mama. Yeah, I think I should be interrupt more, too. I've gotten better at it, right, mama? I'm the Leave It to Beaver candidate. Don't you want to vote for me? See, but that's the thing is everything he tried to do to get elected, it's a trick. It's a trick. It's putting on a persona. For fuck's sake, man. The guy was told by his advisors, you got to take off your glasses because that might be hurting your campaign. You look old and stiff and wear contacts. That was a strategy on his part. That's it. I know what's wrong. My glasses. Dude, the glasses were the least of your worries. It's you. The problem is you. He thinks like the chest bump with his brother, like frat boys are gonna go, man, I wasn't sure, but now I'm gonna vote for Jeb. Nobody ever said that, ever. We look at you and go, why are you acting out of character? It doesn't make sense. Please clap. He got kicked off stage by a group of random schmucks. You think Trump would ever have been like, okay, yeah, well, I guess I gotta go. Awkwardly standing there? No, it would have been like, I got 5 more minutes, step aside. And he would have kept going. Every aspect of his campaign was a disaster. Yes, including his policies. So don't believe the bullshit fluff pieces you see today. Just because people feel bad for him doesn't mean he actually made sense for the country.